Hello everyone, and welcome to the grand finale of the Hardy Boys, The Hidden Theft. We should have all of the evidence to prove Samuel Spencer is a career criminal. Hopefully, Chief Collig will agree.
Chief Collig, we have more evidence for you on Samuel Spencer.
What do you got for me?
Mary Spencer told us that he started the fire at Ingram Asylum all those years ago.
Why would she tell you a thing like that? Odd. Well, look, I'm no fan of Samuel Spencer myself, but we'd need hard evidence to even open a case on him. Biased testimony just isn't gonna cut it in court.
But we have a letter from his father.
We have a letter written by Samuel's father, Orrin Spencer, confessing that he covered up the arson to protect his son.
Really? Let me see that. Oh, very interesting. Now, this merits some paperwork. This may take some time. If you find anything else, please let me know.
Will do. We've got some letters that Samuel wrote to his lawyer.
But his luck has just run out?
They were apparently lost in the fire. The safe didn't have any bonds in it at all.
Let me take a look at that. Good work, boys. Well, let me write this up. Very incriminating stuff. Now, this may take me a while. Let me know if you find anything else.
Okay, sorry, I got a little lost in that conversation because Frank said something which was not in the text box. What? Okay, so apparently those bonds never existed. Those bonds were destroyed in the fire many, many years ago. Okay, well that explains, yeah, that explains a lot about those letters to and from the attorney. Okay. So what about the car?
We have a piece of fabric we got from the bumper of Samuel's car. A blood stain on it matches Richard Llewellyn's blood type, which is incredibly rare.
You think old Sammy hit and killed Richard?
Yes, we do.
Serious charges. Now let me write it up. Let me know if you find any more evidence, okay, boys?
And finally, we have proof that he was in New York at the time of the hit and run.
We have a turnpike stub that proves Samuel was in New York City last night, where Richard was struck and killed.
Well, New York City is a big place, you know. That's hardly conclusive. You know, I was about to tell you boys to try and find more on this guy, but this is making me furious. All this evidence together is more than enough to put him away for a long, long time. Oh, good work, boys. Old man Spencer's been lucky for far too long.
But his luck has just run out?
I thought about saying that for a moment, but the urge passed. Just as well, it sounded pretty darn silly. Let's go.
Woohoo!
He's in his car. I don't think he's gonna stick around for questioning.
Uh-oh. Is he gonna escape?
Quick, back in the car.
Man, that is one powerful automobile.
We're following kind of close, aren't we?
Do you boys have your seatbelts on?
Wait just a minute. Didn't we cut the timing belt out of Mr. Spencer's car? How come it's still running?
You piece of junk!
Aha!
You don't have to cooperate, Mr. Spencer. We don't need a confession. We already have all the evidence we need.
Oh, I'd love to hear this. Let me guess. Click and clack back here helped you.
Well, I'd say they did more than helped. They cracked the case wide open. In fact, perhaps they'd rather explain just how much hot water you are actually in.
Sure, Chief. When Richard broke into your safe, you weren't worried about losing the bearer bonds, because those burnt up in the fire years ago. What you were worried about was your father's confession, which has been in that safe for who knows how long.
You were afraid Richard was gonna blackmail you, which he very well might have been planning to do. In fact, I'm guessing he called you and told you that very thing.
So you found out where he lived,
Drove up in your precious Crown Vic,
and killed him.
killing two birds with one stone, if you'll forgive the expression. With Richard dead, you could blame him for your missing bearer bonds, collect insurance on them, and you wouldn't have to worry about anyone spilling the beans about your arsenic bent.
But although you might have known Richard was your childhood nemesis, Dougal Seep's son,
What you didn't realize was that your sister-in-law Mary was Richard's mother.
Mary? Mary?
That's right. She married your brother intending to get back at you for starting the fire that killed her parents. You might remember her as Mary Llewellyn.
Scary Mary? My sister-in-law is Scary Mary?
Yep, one of the many patients at Ingram Asylum that you tormented as a boy.
so not only did you commit murder,
You committed both arson and fraud. And you're a bully for good measure. The true irony of all this is that your motive for going on this little crime spree doesn't even actually exist.
What do you mean?
The fire. You did all of this because you were afraid the Ingram fire would be traced back to you. But even if it were, you were underage at the time. You couldn't be charged.
you spent so long covering up that fire that you would have done anything to keep it that way. You must have felt really guilty.
Of course I felt guilty. I was a stupid kid.
Unfortunately, that doesn't exonerate you from your actions of the past few days. We have physical evidence that your car struck Richard Llewellyn. We have physical evidence that you were in the New York area last night. We have your father's confession, and we have your correspondence with your lawyers discussing your intent to fraudulently file an insurance claim. Care to add anything?
I want to talk to my lawyer.
Smartest thing you've said all day.
Well, the boys were kind enough to come and see how we were doing. My Thomas is very understanding.
You've been through so much, Mary. I'm just sorry it had to happen at all.
Richard was a very troubled boy, but he never hurt a soul. He really was the apple of his father's eye.
It's a shame.
Where is Dougal? Mr. Seep, anyway?
He's coming to town tomorrow. He's made arrangements.
Just need to pick up the pieces and move on, I guess.
I'm really sorry. I wish we could have helped more.
I don't know if that would have been possible. Without you boys, we'd still be in the dark about my brother. I still can't believe it.
What are you going to do now?
Well, we'll sell the house, of course. I just don't think the memories attached to this place are conducive to a happy life. For either of us.
As long as we're together, I don't care where we go.
Well, yes.
How far? I mean, where to? I mean, you're moving somewhere close by, right?
Well, I can't imagine leaving Bayport.
Can you, honey?
Not at all. And I'm sure Lily would be very, very upset if we left.
Mom!
Well, it's true. You told me that yourself.
I did not.
Oh, dear. Don't be embarrassed.
Mom!
So, that is the end of the Hardy Boys, The Hidden Theft. Sorry that the audio got a little messed up towards the end there. That is me having YouTube problems. So, while the credits roll, let me talk about this game in general. Chapter number 1, I liked chapter number 1. It was a neat chapter. I mean, it's kind of stupid that ATAC got the Hardy Boys grounded for no reason whatsoever, but it was cool that we were solving a puzzle with one Hardy Boy doing something while the other Hardy Boy did something else. Really neat how they split up and had to work together to solve a puzzle. We did see one of those puzzles here in this spot, and then that was it. So I kind of wish we had more puzzles where the Hardys have to work together, but separately. That was kind of cool. Chapter number 2 was also really good. I liked how we had a lot of characters from the earlier Hardy Boys books, which is great because those characters were written out of the Undercover Brothers series, so it was great to see those characters again. I'm glad to see that they weren't completely thrown into the trash can. And the puzzles there were good too. Which brings me to chapter 3, which was not good, and it was nothing but puzzles. And the series of puzzles was kind of ridiculous. Like, we had to solve all of the costumes, then we had to move the gondolas for the costumes, then we had to solve a puzzle to get to the astronomy area, where we had to make constellations in order to talk to Dougal Seep. And then Dougal sent us to the theater, where we had to solve a bunch of puzzles to get Harold to talk to us, which gave us the information that Richard is a culprit and he's in the hospital. So then we had to go to the hospital and have a bunch of puzzles there in order to talk to Richard. It was basically puzzles that were just thrown at us in order to prevent us from progressing with the game. Yeah. And chapter 4, the final chapter, it was not the worst chapter, but I think it was bad. I think the problem is that they weren't able to finish the chapter on time. And so what they did was they rushed through the chapter and gave us this half-finished project. And you can kind of see that with the fact that the storyline wasn't really, fleshed out. The storyline was thrown at us by huge lectures from Mary and the letter from Samuel's father. And I don't know how the story transitioned into the whole Ingram Asylum thing, because I don't remember hearing about Ingram Asylum before. It just seems like the game says, oh, we're talking about this now. Wah, wah. Also, what we saw with Chapter 4 was a lot of inventory items, which were kind of a problem. They were incorrectly written. And, of course, there's a problem with the culprit's confession appearing in my phone inventory before I got it in the game. So that was a glitch. So here I'm just going to show off some of these inventory items, because this is another problem with the game. Like I said, in Chapter 4 particularly, we had inventory items with descriptions that were incorrectly written. Like timing belt, the description for timing belt was timing belt, and the description for another item was double-click to use it when you don't actually double-click to use it. So, also another weird inventory item. This sock, the magnet appears at the top of your inventory rather than the bottom of the inventory with the other items we got at the same time. That's weird. Okay, but inventory management. So we've got some items we never used, like hydrogen peroxide, shredded paper. We never used that for anything, and the hubcap. We never used that for anything either. So, and that was a puzzle, putting the rubber gloves and the methane thing. What was that for? I don't know what it was for. So I feel like maybe, just because, we've got items we picked up and never used, and because we've got some weird inventory items, that maybe Chapter 4 was rushed and they had to cut stuff out. And here's another example of inventory items not being well described. Asylum underline pamphlet. They forgot to remove the pamphlet. They forgot to remove the underline from the programming language. Oops. Okay. I don't know. That is me making it seem like I hate this game, which is not the case. I in fact like the game. I wish that this game had been like the first half of the game. If the entire game had been like chapters 1 and 2, I would love it. It would be great. But chapters 3 and 4 were not so good. So overall, I'd say the strong opening followed by a really weak second half and not a very well presented mystery. The mystery was good. I did like the solution. It just wasn't presented very well. So I feel like put those two together, we've got a game that's, I don't know, a 7 or an 8 out of 10. I'd say 7 out of 10. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. That's why I'd give this game. So thank you for watching my video walkthrough for the Hardy Boys, The Hidden Theft. I hope you enjoyed watching me play this game. If this walkthrough is popular, I will do a walkthrough for the next game in the series, The Hardy Boys, The Perfect Crime. The next and only other game in the Hardy Boys computer series. They only made 2. Oh well. So, thank you for watching, everybody. Bye.